Hey guys, it's Sam and this is Top 5 Wednesday. If you are new to Top 5 Wednesday, I will leave a link to the Goodreads group down below for topics and such. This week's topic is about books that are not set in or inspired by the Western world. So not the United States, Canada, or Western Europe. Books that take place outside of those places. And not just fantasy books that are based on Europe, basically, or the United States, but fantasy books or sci-fi books that feel based on other parts of the world. This was actually a topic suggestion on the group, so I do go through the topic suggestions and see what people say. So this is from somebody who suggested this topic, so I hope you guys enjoy it. The first one is kind of a runner-up because it does take place in what is now considered the Western world, but I wouldn't say that it was always the Western world, and that is Melech I by Ellen Vernert. This takes place in Hawaii. It's an historical fiction. It takes place around the time when Hawaii is being kind of taken over by the United States. If you're not familiar with the history of that, the way that Hawaii became part of the United States was really shitty and very like colonizing and awful, and it takes place in the last leprosy colony, organized leprosy colony in Hawaii. And it's very interesting. It follows a girl who was diagnosed at a young age and was never even thinking she was going to live very long, but then she gets to see all this history play out with her country and turning into another country and all this cultural stuff. Really cool. Again, it kind of is split between, yes, it's the Western world or it's turning into the Western world, but it's not really, and it was taken over and all that kind of thing. So officially, number 5 is The Mir Empire by Cameron Hurley. This is a fantasy story that is very heavily inspired by Asian culture, and it's, and I say Asian because it's not just Chinese or Japanese, it's kind of both, and a lot of them kind of amalgamated together. They have very Chinese, I think mostly Chinese inspired names, but I could be wrong on that, and it is just definitely more focused on like that kind of military structure and that kind of almost like imperial Japan and China's feeling to it, while based in a completely different world, a completely different fantasy setting, a setting that's mostly women dominated. It's in a very matriarchal society. This book I wasn't a huge fan of for a number of reasons, but the actual like setting and the world and everything is so cool, so unique, something I wish I would have enjoyed more. Number 4 is actually a series I haven't read yet. I don't frequently do this in these kinds of topics, but it is a book and it's kind of a theme that I wanted to draw a little more attention to. It's What I Hope The Mir Empire Wasn't for Me, and that is the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. This is a trilogy, I believe, and it's a epic, I think it's called Silk Punk trilogy, and I've heard amazing things about it. I really want to read it very, very soon, but it's inspired by the political unrest that was caused by the, I believe, assassination of China's first emperor. So it's a fantasy story, but it's very heavily Chinese inspired. For great things. I want to draw more attention to it. Some people have kind of been talking about it on book 2, but I haven't heard a ton about it. If you guys really want fantasy that is not just based in the Western world, I've been hearing amazing things about this, so definitely check it out. I hope to soon. Then we have Deathless by Catherine M. Valente. I've talked about this one a few times before, but this is a very eclectic, weird story based on Eastern European folklore. It feels so different. Eastern European folklore is so different from like Western European folklore. It's just like more, I almost want to feel like, it feels like a jungle. It feels like so immersive and so foreign and just completely different. Like it's not these kind of grim fairy tales that we're used to in the Western world. Like it's its own unique thing that can only be made in that area with that kind of culture and stuff. So this is very cool, but so hard to follow. I couldn't even begin to describe how this book is. I've tried many times, but I've kind of just given up. You just kind of have to go into this book and like see what happens, but it's definitely a very dark and twisty story. Then we have The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. This is my favorite of all of the more Arabic kind of desert fantasies that have come out recently. I think this one is amazing. Probably, yes, because of the angsty romance, but not just. I love the tale of Scheherazade, and so having that character being followed in this and this whole unique twist on it was really awesome. I just loved the world with this, and it just felt so different and so true to that story. I just loved it. I just loved it. I would have gladly had a trilogy and not just a duology of this. And lastly, we have The Star-Touched Queen by Roshni Chokshi. You guys knew this was probably gonna be one of the number ones because this is a Hades and Persephone retelling mixed with Indian folklore. It's beautiful. It's so different. The fantasy elements are so different from things that you're used to seeing. It's just gorgeous. Crown of Wishes is the other book, and that is a duology. It's kind of a duology with their companion stories. And that one takes place in the same world with a bunch of other different creatures and stuff too. So both of these books in these worlds they're so unique and so fun and so different. I love them so much. So that is it for some books that are based in the non-Western world. Comment below, let me know some of your favorites that aren't based in like Europe, United States, Canada, that kind of thing. An Ember in the Ashes I know is going to come up, so try something different than that. The Forbidden Wish by Jessica Corey also almost made this list, so try something different than that. I'm interested to see other stories that are not those being mentioned, because there's some really popular ones, but I want some lesser known ones. There's a lot on my list of like my TBR that I could have pulled from, could have had a whole like books my TBR about this, but I just need to get to them really, really bad. I'm looking forward to them. So give me some unique recommendations down below. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!